Good evening, Shabbat Shalom. That is not just a clue for you, it's also a clue for my children. So I came over here a few moments ago to grab my microphone, and I noticed that the felt tip on the end of the microphone was missing. Well, Wayne is amazing, as you already know this, and has completely organized and reorganized a number of times since I've been here, the closet. And there's now an actual bookcase in the closet. And so the microphone stands were put on top of the bookcase. And so I called Wayne over and I said, "Did you happen to see a felt tip on the end of the microphone?" He said, "No, I didn't, but I didn't move them. I just literally picked them up from their box and put it on the top of I said, "Well, that's moving them." And so we looked behind it. We couldn't find it. And then Wayne says, what if it's in the box? Because there's a wooden box underneath it. I said, "Well, why would it be in the box? I'd never put it in the box." Sure enough, it was in the box. So I said, "Wayne, thank you so much. That was really great. You're awesome." And he looks at me and he says, "It's because I have an awesome rabbi." And I said, "Wayne, take the compliment already." I felt like I could be looking in the mirror when I said that, because if you know me well, you know I don't take compliments very well at all. But that's because Wayne was awesome, not because of me. So we will begin our service this evening, as we always do, or at some point we do, with Simchot. And I'm going to, as the rabbi, I'm going to choose the first person tonight, because this is something that we have been waiting for months and months and months. And so I'm going to call on Rita Singer first. Shh. Well, you can't hear her because people are talking. Wonderful. Wonderful. Bruce, see if you can project like she does. So when you got emotional during Bill W., it really was. It was important to you. Thank you. Mazel tov. Any other? Yes, Arlene. Yay! When is your closing date? August 25th. Well, I will say what? Yes, and I will tell you that every time I go check the mail, I always pass by your house to make sure it still looks okay. It's missing a couple of doors, but other than that, it looks really good. Yes. Woohoo! Well, Nasiya Tova to you. We wish you a very safe and secure trip and a wonderful time while you're there, and we look forward to hearing about it when you come back. Barbara? You know, I could tell you that's another reason why people like Rabbi Dr. Harvey Taub will not be a rabbi in a congregation, because she probably makes a lot more money than I make, too. You have another one, Rita? It better not be an announcement. Okay, good. And only because I did this to Susan, so I'll do it to you as well. You already had your bat mitzvah a long time ago when you turned 12. You will become a bat mitzvah in May of 2024. Yes, Wayne? Hey, May the 4th be with you. I couldn't have planned that any better. So when you become a woman, he's going to become a man. Anybody else? Yes, Bacha. Well, wait. It gets better. It gets better. Because she was captain. So she accomplished two things that I never accomplished. I was never a MAC captain as a camper, and I never won as a MAC captain. So my daughter has already outdone me, and she's 17. As they should. What took her so long? Just kidding. Anybody else? Yes, one more, Barbara, and then that's it. Tommy is back. I mean, that's a celebration for all of us. That's wonderful. I think that's a great way to conclude this part of the service. And I will now invite up Barbara Adler, who just spoke, to light our Shabbat candles on page 2. I'm pretty sure you can find page 2. Please talk into the microphone.
Okay, thank you. Okay. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us, as their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light. So may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen. Yep. No, that's why I'm looking.
We continue with on page 7. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished? Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat, abide. Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time. Contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat, abide. We continue singing Ma Yafeh Hayom on page 10. Please join me. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Page 14. Sing to Adonai a new song. Sing to Adonai all the earth. Sing to Adonai, bless God's name. Proclaim God's victory day after day. Tell of God's glory among the nations, God's wondrous deeds among all peoples. For Adonai is great and much acclaimed. God is held in awe by all divine beings. All the gods of the peoples are mere idols, but Adonai made the heavens. Glory and majesty are before God. Strength and splendor are in God's temple. Let the heavens rejoice, join me, and the earth exult. Let the sea and all within it thunder. The fields and everything in them exult. Then shall all the trees of the forest shout for joy at the presence of Adonai, for God is coming. For God is coming to rule the earth. God will rule the world justly, and its people in faithfulness. We continue on page 19. The voice of Adonai kindles flames of fire. The voice of Adonai convulses the wilderness. Adonai convulses the wilderness of Kadesh. The voice of Adonai causes hinds to calve and strips forests bare, while in God's temple all say glory. Adonai sat enthroned at the flood. Adonai sits enthroned, sovereign forever. May Adonai grant strength to God's people. May Adonai bestow on God's people well-being. We continue singing Shalom Aleichem on page 24. Please join me. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu ni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zedchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Please rise as we turn to page 26 for Chatzi Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shmei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach Yerutei, v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayeichon uv'yomeichon, uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala, ba'agala, uvizman kariv, veimeru amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevorach, le'olam u'olmei almaya, yitbarach, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, Shmei dekudesha brichu, Leila min kol berchata v'shirata, Tush bechata v'nechemata, Damiran bialma, V'meru, Amen. Bottom of page 27. Entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is all the time, even at unlikely times and through unlikely places. There is no place on earth without the presence. Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. Please be seated. We continue with Ma'ariv Aravim on page 30. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravim B'chokhma Poteach She'arim Uvidvuna Mishane Itim Umachalif et Hazmanim Umsader et HaKochavim B'mishmerotehem Barakia Kirtsono Borei Yom V'layla Golel Or Mipnei Choshech V'choshech Mipnei Or Uma'avir Yom Umevi Layla Umavdil Ben Yom Uvein Layla Adonai Tzivaot Shemo El Chai V'Kayam Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Leolam Va'ed Baruch Atah Adonai HaMa'ariv Aravim. Page 32. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Ahavta Torah Mitzvot Chukim Mishpatim Otanu Limadata Al Kain Adonai Eloheinu B'shochbeinu Uvkumenu Nasiach Bechukecha V'nizmach B'divrei Toratcha Uvmitzvotecha Leolam Va'ed Ki hem Chayenu Ve'orech Yameinu Uvahem Negei Yomam V'layla Vavatcha Al Tasir Mimenu Leolamim Baruch Atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. Page 33. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch Atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. Please rise for the Shema, page 34. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Please be seated. We continue chanting Ve'ahavta on page 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uvshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha והיו לו טוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם emet. Page 39, we read responsively. But before we do that, I want to just say that what's going to happen after we read this responsively is actually what you probably pretty much came for tonight, and that is the choir. I want to tell, yeah. I just want to say that the choir has now had one meeting and one rehearsal, and we are still looking for people who want to be in the choir. So if you're interested in being in the choir, communicate with Rita. Raise your hand. I think everyone knows who you are, but anyway. And they are meeting to rehearse maybe once or twice a month? So they're going to be singing at this point once a month in the service. Tonight they're singing 3 songs. Maybe the next time they'll sing 4 songs. I'd love to get to a point where the choir sings every song. We'll see. They will be also singing songs, singing some of the melodies in the High Holy Days as well. So if you're interested in the choir, please join them. But now we read responsively on page 39. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. From bondage in Egypt, we were delivered at Sinai. We bound ourselves to your way. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
La 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Michamo haba elim Adonai. Michamo hanedar bakodesh. Nora tehilot osef eleh. Nora tehilot osef eleh.
Malachutecha ra'u vanecha, bokei alam yivnei b'shem Miriam, ze Elianu ve'amru, ze Elianu ve'ameru. Adonai imloch leolam va'ed. Adonai imloch leolam va'ed. Yai lai 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 lai. Ya lai 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 ya la 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 la. Ya lai la lai lai ya lai ya la lai. Ya lai 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 ya la 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 la. That was a very good job, choir. I only recommend putting the microphones closer to your mouths because the microphones that we have are not turn it on. It's supposed to be on. His is on for sure because I could hear him.
We tried it on both settings, and hers wasn't working.
Okay, so this one doesn't matter. But for the other ones, hold them closer to your mics because we don't have choir microphones. Choir microphones are the ones that pick up ambient sounds. These you have to actually put close up to your mouth. Maybe we can get choir microphones, but we're not going to talk about fundraising at this service. But that's something to think about. Sisterhood, are you listening?
No.
Hey, the last time I suggested the sisterhood to buy something, they got it for us. So, hey, that would be wonderful. What? Oh, we continue on page 41. Sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles. An earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come. The song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more. The song of a world redeemed, the song of peace. Page 42, the last line in Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'kol amo Yisrael. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Page 43 at the bottom. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. And now the choir gets to sing again, V'shamru, on page 44.
B'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat Ledoratam berit olam B'nei Yisrael B'nei Yisrael Oti le'olam V'shamru B'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat Ledoratam berit olam Shedonina Asa Adonai
Well done, choir. Thank you. We continue on page 46 with our tefillah. Please rise. Or if you're in the choir, please stand up again. Adonai sefaitai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chastei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei v'Neihem, Lema'an Shmo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol atah Rav Lehoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Micha mocha ba'al gevurot, Umido melach, melech memit umechaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman ata lahachayot hakol, Baruch ata Adonai, mechaye hakol, ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, Ukadoshim b'chol yom yihallelu Selah. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated. We continue on page 55 at the top. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. We continue on page 60. Please sing with me. Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atah melech Adon Lechol hashalom, Ki atah melech Adon, Lechol hashalom, Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha lemcha tasim leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol et uvechol sha'a bishlomecha. Shalom Rav Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. We take a few moments for our own silent prayers and silent meditations, followed by Beth Shalom on page 62.
Shalom, shalom,
Bivromav, Uyase Shalom Aleinu, V'yachol Yisrael, Imru Amen. Uyase Shalom. Hallelujah, Kol Israel. Amen. Shalom, shalom, bimromav. Uyase shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Israel, v'imru amen. Ve'al kol Israel, amen.
Thank you, choir. You may go back to your families now if you'd like to. Well, they're done singing. I don't want them to have to sit there and look. I mean, they can sit there and look pretty the whole time, but I can hear you, yes. I'm slightly concerned that my thing isn't working. Oh, there we go. I just hope the sound works.
Has it started? היא טהורה?
אף לא שערה שחורה אחת.
זה מתחיל. הנבואה מתגשמת. אחריות עצומה מונחת על כתפיים קטנות.
אני לא אכזב אותך.
לא רק אותי זה יאכזב.
ככה זה. יראה בי.
I have to stop there because the next scene is a little bit of NFT. No, not suitable for temple. NST, I should say. So, first of all, what you were just watching was the first 3 or so minutes of a show that had, unfortunately, only one season. It was, I thought, a fantastic show. Although I'm a lover of Israel, so the fact that it's all over Jerusalem, it was awesome. But the show was called Dig. And there are 3 separate stories going on at the same time. You just saw the first part of one of the stories, or one of the important pieces of the puzzle. So the first question is, what were you just watching? What was just happening, Betsy? Okay, so a little bit more than that. It wasn't the discovery of the red heifer. It was a red heifer that was intentionally bred. Okay, so remember those words, red heifer. They're important. But what else was going on in that scene besides the red heifer? It was only 3 minutes, but a lot happened. Stan. That's right. Not just looking at the red heifer, but it had to be a completely pure red heifer, a completely pure red cow. Why the rabbi was looking for black hairs to see if she was perfectly red. What else happened? What was that job? Well, yes, we don't actually ever see the young man kill the cow, thankfully. But yes, his job would have been to slaughter the red cow, because you can't sacrifice something that's not living. That is living, excuse me. That would be called murder. And even of an animal. It has to be slaughtered before it can be sacrificed. But what else? Did you notice where it was? It was in Norway. Why is it important that it was in Norway? It's actually a lot easier than you think. Well, where could it have been? Could have been in Israel, okay? But why was it important for, yes, Dan? Yeah, yes, but why that location? Norway is not important here. But why was it Norway? No, nothing to do with cold and snow. Has nothing to do with sunsets. Okay, guys, do we know where Mount Sinai is? Don't ask the Christians, because they have actually a monastery on Mount Sinai, what they believe to be Mount Sinai. But I'm not talking about the monastery of Mount Sinai. I'm not talking about they found Noah's Ark and they know Mount Ararat is. No. Do we know where Mount Sinai is? We're not sure. We don't know where it is. Why? What would happen if we knew where Mount Sinai was? I'm sorry? Everybody would go there, right? Okay, so where was Moses buried? What mountain was he buried on? We do know he's buried on Mount Nebo. He died on Mount Nebo, but we don't know where Mount Nebo is. Why? Because then somebody would try and go dig up his bones to prove that Moses was alive. We don't know where Mount Sinai is because, and it was given, the Ten Commandments, the Torah was given in the desert intentionally, so that it could belong to all people. So let me ask the question again. Why Norway? You're like rounding second base, but you're almost caught between second and third. She said because it shows that anybody can be holy. That is true, but not the answer I'm looking for. What could be done? The red heifer, that's exactly right. The red heifer doesn't have to be in Israel. If the red heifer is in Israel, somebody can say, oh, well, of course it's in Israel. How do we know it's real? The fact that it was somewhere outside of Israel. The second part of this show, there is a young man, 13 years old, going to have his bar mitzvah at a compound in the middle of Utah. Why? Because from a different part of the world. Because the prophecy, which is what this show is about, the prophecy of bringing on Armageddon, bringing on the building of the third temple, which would cause the end of the world, Armageddon. That's what this show is about. It's really a fascinating show. It stars Anne Heche. She's I believe the only prominent actor that's in that show. But it's very well done. You can get it on Amazon Prime. It's called Dig. I highly recommend it. That's where I was just accessing it. Yeah, Amazon Prime. But you have to, Prime Video. Amazon Prime Video. That's where we were just watching it on. Okay. So we know that we got the red heifer somewhere not in Israel. What's the significance of the red heifer? I'm going to tell you if you don't know. Just the red heifer, or para aduma in Hebrew, was the cow whose ashes were to be used in purification rites for one who had been contaminated. How? How does the ultimate way of a person becoming contaminated in Judaism? I'll give you a hint. It happens to me a lot. Not Trafe. Ken? That's right. Contact with a dead person. Y'all don't know I'm really impure because I've never found the ashes of a red heifer, and I have been around many, many corpses. But honestly, that really doesn't matter because we don't have a temple anymore anyway, so we can't make the sacrifice, so it's a whole other thing. But the red heifer is discussed in this week's Torah portion, chapter 19, verses 1 through 22. These verses are read in this Torah portion, but also as the final Torah reading on Shabbat Parah, yes, the Shabbat of cows, the Sabbath of the red heifer, which occurs on the last Shabbat of the month of Adar, shortly before Passover. Why, pray tell? And I hope that you will give me some suggestions or ideas. Why would we read about the red heifer, the purification rites necessary before Passover? You can always be wrong. It's okay. Yes, Bruce? That is a very good guess. Not going to say wrong or right, but that's a very good guess. But not the answer I'm looking for. He said because we're changing plates, there's a whole purity section. There's a whole purity clause. I know, for example, I don't mean to call my wife out or anything like that, but she doesn't keep kosher except on Passover. Yes, but I don't keep kosher. Yes, but let's be clear here. Let's be clear here. I keep kosher for Passover, which means I don't eat the things I'm supposed to not eat during Passover. I don't, but you keep strict kosher on Passover. She won't eat anything that's not kosher on Passover, even if anything that's not kosher for the rest of the year, because it's a symbol of her desire of purity. So that is a correct answer, but that wasn't the answer I was looking for. Only people who were pure could eat from the Passover sacrifice. In ancient times, a public announcement reminded anyone who had become impure to purify themselves before making the Passover pilgrimage to Jerusalem. When did Jesus go to Jerusalem? Passover. So he would have had to go through the same purification, presuming that he had impurities like any other human being. He would have gone through the same impure he would go through the same rituals as the rest of us were, assuming that there was a temple that was being built. We don't sacrifice a red heifer anymore, as far as I'm concerned. As a matter of fact, I don't want to tell you the end of the show, but they get pretty darn close. I'll leave it at that. There's also one phrase in this week's Torah portion that you do not see except for one other place in the entire Torah. You see the phrase Chukat HaTorah. Chok means law, HaTorah, the Torah. This is translated often as ritual law. You see this in Numbers 31:21, when Eleazar the priest is instructing the Israelites returning from a military campaign on how to purify themselves, because presumably they have come in contact with dead corpses, dead bodies. So we have the instructions here, and then we have a reminder of the instructions when the campaigns come back from war. God said to Moses and Aaron, "Speak to the sons of Israel and find a completely red cow on which there is no blemish and no yoke has ever come." It's never worked. "You shall give it to Eleazar the priest, and he shall take it outside the camp and slaughter it." Outside the camp and slaughter it. Couldn't even be slaughtered inside the camp. "This cow shall then be made into an offering, and those that participate in the sacrifice shall be unclean until the evening. Remember this everlasting statute," God continues. "One who touches the corpse of any human soul becomes unclean for 7 days. If the corpse is in a tent, all that is within the tent is also unclean. There is a purification process involving water for people and their possessions. If one does not purify oneself after a statute of uncleanliness, that soul shall be uprooted from Israel. Anything unclean must be made clean and pure before coming in contact with the holy sanctuary." Now, if you've watched my Torah chat this week, you heard me read the lines. If you have a closed container of grain or liquid or something, if it's closed inside the tent, it does not have to be made pure. Because since it's closed, presumably they had airtight containers 2,000 years ago that kept that pure. But then again, if you ever studied the oven of Achnai, a very famous Talmudic story, you know that there's a conversation between the rabbis to discuss that if a pit in the ground, hole in the ground, is pure, it's kosher, and some piece of paper or something floats by, if it dips into the air of the hole but doesn't touch the whole argument is whether the hole is the pit is unclean or not, is not kosher or not. And one of the rabbis says, it is unclean, it's not clean. And the rabbis disagree back and forth, and one of the rabbis stands up and says, if I'm right, let the walls of the synagogue agree with me. At which point the walls of the synagogue start to lean in. The rabbi still don't agree with him. What do the walls know? So he says, if I'm right, let the river out there change direction and flow the opposite way. And of course it does. But the rabbis still are not convinced. So he says, if I'm right, let God Almighty speak, and a bat kol, a voice of God, comes from the sky and says that the rabbi is right. At which point the arguing rabbis say, hey, you choose what's up there, we got it down here. The whole point is that God gave us the earth. It's our decision to make which is right. So what's the answer? You have to read the story of the oven of Achnai. But from the commentary, the rules regarding the red heifer are often called the most mysterious laws of the Torah. They prescribe a process of purification for anyone who has been in contact with a dead body. What was the reason or the need to be cleansed or purified in the ancient world? Ancient world. Think 2,000 years ago. None of you were there. Naomi. Yes. Prevent spread of disease. Absolutely. What else? Think The Mummy. The movie The Mummy. Not Jewish, but it applies. Because the Egyptians had a big influence on the Jews. Not all good, but some of it was. A great answer, but not what I'm looking for. I'll give you a hint. I'm sorry? Not exactly. They weren't so concerned with that kind of cleanliness. Going into the mikveh was not a cleaning thing, like body-wise. The water was never actually cleaned or purified. It's purified by the rain. They didn't have soap back then. They had something, but it wasn't soap. Mikveh was about ritual purity, not about cleanliness. Fear of the dead. They believed that the spirits of the dead were capable of injuring the community. So that's one explanation is why there's this tremendous need to purify ourselves after touching a corpse. The red heifer ritual is actually a reinterpretation of an older pre-biblical practice. You all heard of the story of Joseph and how he gets Potiphar's wife tries to come on to him and he refuses her. That's actually a much older story than our Hebrew Bible. There's actually a very ancient Egyptian story about that the story of Joseph and Potiphar's wife comes from. Just like this one. There is a Canaanite epic that regards the death of the god of fertility who goes to the underworld and copulates with a heifer. And I use that big word on purpose. Yeah, I see the face. It's not my story, it's a Canaanite story. Reinterpreting old practices with their new religious views. Clearly, we don't do that with the red heifer, but we sacrifice it for its ashes. Israel, a holy people, is required to remain in a state of physical and spiritual purity. If they are not, then they must become purified. They're supposed to eat clean food, etc. What about the color red? Why does it have to be a perfectly red heifer? This is unexplained in the Hebrew Bible. However, Christianity sees it as an evocation of blood. The blood of course, of Jesus. Another connection of the religions from looking backwards and adapting stories or adapting ideas. What? I had something and it's gone. Thank you so much. My 80-plus-year-old father told me today, I was talking to him, you know, sometimes I'm in a conversation with somebody and I forget a word. I'm like, Dad, I do that all the time. He goes, well, it doesn't get any better. I'm like, thank you so much. I'll find out better be more than a couple of years, Michael. Oh, 30 years. Okay. The Haftarah for this week, which is Ezekiel 36, chapter 36, verses 16 through 38, also deals with issues of being cleansed from contamination. But the impurity in this case symbolizes human sinfulness. But like physical impurity, sins can be overcome. God says in chapter 36 of Ezekiel, verses 25 and 26, I will sprinkle clean water upon you, and you shall be clean. I will cleanse you from all your uncleanness and from all your fetishes, parentheses, idolatrous practices. And I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. This renewal of self and nation reflects the Passover theme of redemption. So, what did we learn? We have to be pure. And if we're not pure, we have to find a red heifer, slaughter it, burn it, take its ashes and mix it in with a mixture of probably heen, if you know what heen is, and flour, a heen of flour and some water, and then bathe ourselves in it, and then we'll be pure. Or so the Bible prescribes. Okay, let's go back into our prayer books on page 282. I invite you to rise for Aleinu, and I'd like to invite my children. And is Ruby in here still? Okay. Come on, Carly, or Danica. I know, I corrected myself. Can you open the door? Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, lated gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, velo samanu kimishpechot hadama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, vanachnu korim, umishtachavim, umodim, lifnei melech, malachei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu, page 287, v'ne'emar, v'haya Adonai, Lemelech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu, Yehyeh Adonai echad, Ushemo echad. Please be seated. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. This Shabbat, our congregation commemorates the death anniversaries, the yahrzeits of Melvin Webman, brother of Stan Webman, J. Herbert Williams, Yetta Kirschenbaum. And we are in Shloshim, the period of 30 days memory for Helen Newman, mother of Marcel Schwimmer, and Nanat Prager, cousin of Rachel Lekach. If there's a name that you'd like to add to our prayers of memory this evening, please raise your hand. We turn in our prayer books to page, did I see, sorry, yes. We turn in our prayer books to page 294. Please rise for the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah. Bialma divrach hirute v'yamlich malchute. B'chayechon v'yomechon. Uvichaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv imru, amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mivorach leolam ulamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudusha brechu. Le'elam en kol berchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, huya asei shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Zichronam livracha, may all their memories be for a blessing, and we say together, amen. Please be seated. And now I'd like to invite Kay for some announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. There's no short. Tonight, or rather Sunday, is, thank you, Rita, wherever you've disappeared to. It's the Stone Creek Glee Club Patriotic Concert right here in our sanctuary. It is the second annual. It was wonderful last year. I'm sure it will be spectacular again this year. We hope to see everyone here. I mean, it's a very nice way to celebrate the 4th. We do need a little help setting up and cleaning up after Onyx. Why Tommy is recovering and going to be gone. So please see Barbara Adler if you're able to. I just want to remind you all, sisterhood dues are due. Rochelle Bauman and Jackie Kokot are here, and we'll be happy to take care of you in the Judaica store. You know, the typical, if you need flowers, call Joyce, Toby for Union Grams. Anyway, Shabbat, and tonight, the ONIC is sponsored by you, the congregation, and flowers are sponsored by Sisterhood because they didn't have anyone sign up for flowers either. So let me encourage you all to do one or both. And Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. I'd like to also add a reminder that we are still taking registration for the Israel trip that Batya and I are going to lead in March and April of next year. So if you have any interest whatsoever in traveling to the Holy Land with wonderful, wonderful guides, please. We are not the Israeli guides, but we are guiding them because we've been there before. Although I've been there many more times than she has, but I won't hold that against her. This is her first time going to Israel since 2007. So please come with us. It will be fun. Rabbis make mistakes too, as we all know. So we are going to close our service this evening with the Mishaberach, because I seem to have been so excited to show you guys the first 3 minutes of Dig, I jumped over that. So this Shabbat, we remember, we think about in our prayers for healing, Roger Bell, Sheldon Lieberman, Lynn Perlman, Arlene Stein, and Nicole Way, friends of Barbara and Barry Adler, Betsy Brody and her sister-in-law Ann Sack, as well as her friends Gail LeBeau and Elizabeth Wadbrook, Eddie Bischoff, Linda Kays, and Carolyn Shear, friends of Susan Bernstein, Michael Barron, Herbert Brinker, Tracy Duquette, Joel Falchuk, Serena Handelman, Leah Harris, Yocheved Brucha Bat Devora, Isabel Hutchins, Dr. Ann Kaler, Elise Kaplan, Kathy Katz and her son Joel Coltrera, Sharon Kennedy, Jean Kincaid, Carol Cutlin, Leslie Lado, Linda Nicolette, Hillary Katz-Regan, Moish Rosenblum, Christine Ruckman, Jackie Sachs, Jerry Shavrick, Terry Stein, Larry Stone, Dr. Hossein Tehrani, Bonnie Tillman, Elisa Zeman, Jean Attic, mother of Mildred Olstein's daughter-in-law, Natan Aaron Ben Babas Vagershon Zelag HaKohen, Andrew Cohen, Robert Cohen's brother, Harriet Cohen, cousin of Mike Nusinoff, Denise Evans, partner of Kathy McFarland. Beverly Gordon, mother of Amy Schwartz's daughter-in-law. Danielle Heilman, brother of Melissa Yarger. Amy Hodges, daughter of Diane and Richard Lawrence. John Lottich, cousin of Rachel and Daryl Etheridge. And Hillel Roebuck, cousin of Dale Berman and Raoul Garfinkel. If there is a name in our prayers of healing that you would like to add this evening, please raise your hand. Wayne. Barbara. Page 253, we sing the words of Misha Berach. Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach Imotenu Mikor habracha la'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Michael Barron will be leading us in Kiddush and Motzi. Shabbat Shalom. See you in the social hall.
Test.